Guys, I have a special guest for you here today. We have been speaking for almost 1 year, but I've never caught her here in Shanghai until now. She is an Amazon bestseller 2 times. She's a public speaker. She runs the most awesome social media marketing agency out of Hong Kong, and now I finally can bring you the expert to my channel. I wanted to say welcome to Ashley Galina Dudarenok.
Thank you so much. Phenomenal to be here, and hello guys.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've had you in a podcast before, but it's more towards the Swedish audience, so now I wanted to bring it to my YouTube audience, and we're very thrilled for bringing you to this because I know you're a very busy person.
Yes, visiting Shanghai for a couple of days, and so phenomenal to meet you here as well. And thank you guys. Here to bring value and introduce Chinese social.
Yeah, exactly. And you're the expert in it. But first I wanted to ask, because everything I see on my link is you're updating around social media, you're doing the 100-day challenge, you're everywhere, and you're publishing books, and you're having a marketing firm. When do you sleep?
Hopefully during the night.
Okay.
But essentially, yeah, I do a lot of things, and I think this journey of, you know, doing social media, thought leadership on LinkedIn and publishing books, it was not actually a planned journey. It's not how I planned out my business developing, but it was one block on top of the other. So I started back in 2011, and I opened the company when I was headhunted to a different industry. I lived in mainland China before. Right now,
Chongqing, right?
Yes, I was in Chongqing. So for 4 years, over 4 years, I was in Chongqing, and then I made a lifestyle choice. I thought that, okay, I don't really want to retire in Chongqing, or let's say
really?
No, that wasn't the ambition.
Okay.
So I decided that what is a cool place where I can live, which is more Western, but still Chinese and connected to China, and it was Hong Kong. So I made that lifestyle choice, and 9.5 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I moved to Hong Kong, and I love it ever since. I still travel to China a lot, and obviously all my businesses are China focused. So in 2011, I started a company when I was headhunted to a different industry, and for the first 2 years, it was a side hustle. 2 years later, 2013, I quit my full-time job. I started, an office, get the first person, and then the journey began, and it was, all sorts of different things, business consulting, it was general marketing in China, and then we sort of narrowed down to just social media marketing. And yeah, at one point I was a desperate entrepreneur, and on a quest to bring value and differentiate yourself, and I started recording, just like yourself, videos and talking about that expertise that we had, just to share it with others. Just like you're documenting your journey, it's so valuable. And essentially my channel, I would say, was not discovered for 4 or 5 months. There was literally nobody watching the videos, and then one of the videos suddenly became somewhat popular, and slowly and gradually Alibaba came and invited me to be a global influencer member of basically Alibaba Global Influencer Group, which is very, very exclusive, very, very fun to be a part of. And after that, everybody wanted me to write for them, South China Morning Post, China Daily, and you name it, right? So that was the journey. And I saw that amongst this group of experts, I was the only one who didn't have a book. So coming back from that, I was thinking, my God, I've done all this presentation, all this stuff about China, so let's produce a book. So that's how it all came together. And LinkedIn also came as an extension of that blog, because to be honest, on YouTube, people don't watch business topics that much. China related.
No.
And difficult. Even fewer people subscribe to the channel.
Yeah. And those subscribers, you need them in order to keep the motivation up.
Yes. And so slowly and gradually I was like, okay, what other platforms can I try? And I tried social media, Instagram, Facebook, I tried Medium, I tried LinkedIn, and I did it for 4 or 5 months, just really hardcore on all of these channels. That's why I still have 30,000 fans on Instagram. Not that it helps me, but it's a different audience. But LinkedIn was the place where people said, wow, we want this information, we love it, and let's do it. So that's a little bit of the journey. And right now we are, as you said, in a very different place. Not a struggling entrepreneur anymore, knock on wood. And 2 companies, one focuses on agency business, the other one on training, transferring expertise onto in-house teams, and books, vlogs, and all stuff like that.
Perfect. I mean, I have 1,000 questions along your journey, and I think people want to know more about you. But I think you describe yourself in a very good way. The first thing, though, I have to ask, why China for the first place?
Right. I mean, I honestly believe that there are only 2 reasons why you would want to move across the world to some country, which is, back in the day, it wasn't very well advertised. And it's money or love. So I was 17 years old. Which one do you think it was?
Yeah, I kind of know.
Yeah, so I moved here for love. A boyfriend of mine at the time, I was back in Russia. And he was studying Chinese and he was doing university. I just graduated from school. And it was the place where we could go together. So we moved to China. And the only Chinese person we knew was his teacher from university, and she was from Chongqing.
Oh,
so that's how we came to Chongqing. It wasn't a plan. I was actually thinking that this was a village. And when I was landing, because I couldn't find a Wikipedia page about that city. And as we were landing, literally flying in, I see all these houses and I look down. And then I realized it was population-wise the largest city in the world with 32 million people. So that's how I arrived in Chongqing back in 2006.
God, that's just crazy journey. I've been to Chongqing as well, and I haven't heard about it. And it sounds like a kind of a made-up name, like Chongqing. Like it's kind of a Chinese name. But then, you guys that follow my journey, you've seen that I've been to Chongqing. It's an enormous city. It's the world's best kept secret. Yeah, honestly. It is really. But it's a really cool city, really good food as well. Another thing I also wanted to talk about before we get into the digital marketing. You said you were uploading to YouTube for 4 months, 5 months, something like that, before you actually start to get some traction. How did you get the spirit? How did you keep the spirit up? How did you, what did you do wrong? I want to know so much about it. I believe that success is 90% psychology and 10%. Obviously, you need to be doing the right things for the right amount of time, for long enough. You need to have that stamina. So in terms of my psychology, I think I was just giving myself, a certain timeline. So when I started, for example, YouTube channel, I told myself for 5 months, I'm going to publish those videos 5 times a week. So every Saturday, doesn't matter where I was, and I traveled the world a lot. Back in the day, it wasn't business travels, it was a lot of personal travels, me and my husband, all around the world. But every Saturday, even when I was in the jungles, anyway, I would spend half a day recording videos, editing videos, and then basically sprinkling them throughout the week on my channel. And that's the way to do it. You have to put a certain time where it's only video time. I've done the same thing. I will post something this week. That doesn't work, guys. If you want to work with YouTube, you have to schedule in when you're gonna do video. Absolutely. So for me, it was that. And I said, okay, for 5 months, every week that's what's coming out. And I'm telling you, for 4 months, there was nothing. There were 3 views on the video, and all of these 3 were my friends or family. And it was really discouraging. I was spending so much time. And then one of the videos, as I said, it didn't go viral, no, by no means, but it became a bit more popular. So I think there were 3,000 or 4,000 views, and I was like, oh, this is happening. I know the feeling. This is happening. And okay, there were 20 or 30 comments, and this was a video about WeChat. Because back in the day, everybody was really interested, okay, how does the platform actually work? And I was like, okay, great. Let us do more. People are actually interested. And there were hits, there were misses, and essentially people watched the videos
fewer people subscribe because you need to have a deep connection with this market and understand why. And then I started doing, apart from just social media marketing kind of introduction, I started talking about general life journey. And that was also an interesting content, I guess, differentiator. So that's how I ended up here.
Yeah. That's an amazing story. It is, really. And I can see the struggle and the pain you have been through all these years, because I mean, I live in this international city called Shanghai, and I think this was kind of tough. Imagine Chongqing. So that's, thank you very much for that introduction. However, now I wanted to get in more to digital marketing in China. It's kind of a narrow perspective here on YouTube, basically, because people are not very familiar with the whole like ecosystem here, and especially there are very few people that are actually interested.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah. So every time I talk about it, it's few core like that people that really want to know more about it. So those are the one we're talking to right now.
Yeah.
So 2019 May, can you just give us a broad perspective, like what is digital marketing, or how does the digital marketing landscape look in China right now?
Right. So the first thing we need to know is that obviously the only platform, Western social platform, that works in China is LinkedIn. And even LinkedIn is not present in China in its pure form because it's a joint venture. So basically it's a Chinese company that uses LinkedIn white label, and they are linked together. So for example, if I'm publishing videos on LinkedIn in Hong Kong, people in China do not see those videos, right? So the rest of the China digital space, and we're not talking about just marketing, but generally from the digital ecosystem perspective, is completely unique and original. So there are more than 60 platforms right now, and in 2019 essentially we have tons and tons of different things that we need to watch out for. For example, we all know WeChat, the operating system for life in China. It's not really a social media. It is your window to the rest of the touch points. You want to talk to your mom, here's WeChat. You want to queue for your coffee, here's WeChat. You want to pay for something, here's WeChat. You want to make a booking with a doctor, you want anything and everything you want to do through this system, right? There is Weibo. Weibo is like a microblog, and it used to be sort of super popular, then it went down when WeChat came about, but right now in the past year, I'm telling you, it's phenomenal what it does.
Really?
It's,
okay.
First of all, the profits are up more than 50%. Alibaba invested a lot of money in Weibo. You know that 30% of the company is owned by Alibaba Group.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Weibo, I think 2.5 years ago, also bought live streaming platform called Yichibo, and they bought another platform, a short video platform called Miaopai. And right now, basically, I hire a lot of people from mainland China in Hong Kong. So they are the people that basically studied abroad and right now want to work outside of China, but they are Chinese native speakers. And every time when we have an interview, and right now I'm hiring a couple of people on the team, I ask them, what's your favorite social media platform? And every time without a fail, Weibo is in the top 3.
Really?
And WeChat is not always there because many people do not consider WeChat a social media platform. It's a different purpose, right? So Weibo is important. It's viral, it's about campaigns, it's about news, it's about hot topics, it's about entertainment. So people do watch it. Besides that, 80% of bloggers in China are on Weibo, and based on Weibo as a primary platform. Many people talk about Duoyin, or in the West it's called TikTok. Yes, it's a cool platform. It's been extremely popular and growing very, very fast. Right now it's sort of weeding out and going down a little bit. It's for young people, right? Just like TikTok in the West, but it definitely has some very cool characteristics. For example, one of the most successful promotions on Douyin are for luxury cars. Can you imagine luxury car
luxury
market?
cars?
Yes. So like seriously, Mercedes, BMW, you name it, all of them have like specific channels and very sophisticated promotion done for Douyin. And think about it, if you are in Sweden, if you are in the US, would you promote a luxury car on a platform like TikTok?
Yeah, or Snapchat.
Or Snapchat, I mean, not in your wildest dream, right? Besides that, some other platforms that are less known, Vlog, so it's a platform called Vlog, very popular in China right now, so it's long format videos, very popular. It's a lot of thought leadership going on there, a lot of product reviews, and people that watch this platform are also slightly older, and at the same time they have their purchasing power. Bilibili is super good as well, long format videos from 20 to 40 minutes, very, very popular. Xiaohongshu Red is really, really big, and everybody's talking about it right now. It's a social commerce platform, so it's not just social media, but it's basically competing a little bit in some sectors with like Alibaba and JD, etc., because it's really great for cosmetics and right now fashion and even traveling. So as you see, all these social media platforms are basically like little parallel universe, little planets, and that's what makes China unique and fun. It's extremely interesting.
Yes, and it is. Thank you very much for that presentation. That gave a very broad perspective. Guys, you that watching this, go back and watch it again, because she gave a super good perspective of the whole market. So, in the West, I mean, here in China, it's a very closed system. You don't get Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those platforms. You can't reach from here. So they're creating their own ecosystem. And also, that creates a diversity that it's way more platforms that specialize to each and every client, right? That's why all the ones that you have mentioned have their target group. And also because of China is so huge, they can have enough of people that follow them. That's what I think in the West is kind of boring to, it's only Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Yeah. And they are trying to capture everyone. If your interest in China is professional, you need to remember that and understand that really, really well, that in China, even if we talk about certain subgroup, let's say millennials, or we talk about Generation Y or whatever, within that group, there are hundreds of subgroups. And if you want to be successful with your product, with your service, you need to clearly define, not just by age or by geography like in the rest of the world, but clearly define what do these people want and what is their subculture and subgroup actually after. And then you will be able to go to the right platform and have the right message and basically reach them and be successful. But if you just look at them and say, okay, these are millennials and they are all on Douyin and that's what they are doing and that's how I promote to them, this is not going to work, because China is essentially, as we spoke before, right? It's a collection of different markets. It's not one market where you go and basically capture them all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very complex, the Chinese market. That's why they need people like you. What I try to describe it when I talk to people that wanted to do marketing in China, I always tell them to think as China as Europe. Each and every province is basically a country with its subculture, etc. Do you think that description is a good one?
Yeah. So we spoke on your podcast about that. Exactly. China is exactly like Europe, and you will never sell to a German the same way you sell to a let's say Irish. Just because they're very different, or to Spaniard, they're very different. And China is exactly like that. There are 34 markets in China, unique. Either it's a province, or it's a city, or it's a municipality. So it's not only geography. Again, one layer is the geography. The second layer is within that geography, there are subgroups.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But let's say that a company want to enter China. They are producing, let's say, watches or clothing, very general now. Like, what is the must platform? Like, where do they have to start?
It depends on where, whether this brand is expensive or not, whether this brand is already selling in China or not. For example, if you are a new brand and Chinese never heard about you, there's been no Daigo. Daigo are people that for years in China used to go to places like Japan or Hong Kong and used to buy in bulk, come to China and sell in China like individuals. So these are called Daigo, and right now this Daigo economy is almost dead, almost killed by the recent change in let's say regulations, right? But if this company did not have presence on Daigo platforms, you need to start with broad reach. You need to start with platforms like Weibo. If you're cheap, if you're targeting younger audiences, if your product is really fun, for example, if it's a watch and your straps are changing colors and it's something very visual, then you need to be on Duoyin, right? If you're more serious and more kind of exclusive, go to platforms like Red. And if you had this presence, if you had Daigo, let's say, selling for you, then you need to go to the platforms where most of your Daigos were, and most of them were on, let's say, WeChat. Most of them were on other platforms. So you need to do the audit and you need to follow, because your customers already were buying on this platform. There is already certain understanding of who you are and what you are. So essentially there's no one-fit-all strategy, but I would say the important platforms, as we discussed, are definitely Weibo. WeChat is still important for sure. Douyin only if you are a luxury car or fast-moving consumer goods. Yes, and of course Red, and of course if you are in traveling, you go to DNP or you go to Mafengwo. So there are many platforms. If you're in baby products, you go to Baby Tree, right? So,
yeah. That's why this market is so cool. In the West, it would be like, yeah, you have to go on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. That's it.
Everybody goes there.
Yeah, but here it's like so targeted, and that's what you have to consider, guys, when you're trying to start a company here, when you're trying to sell something here. Find the right platform for your product. Don't just waste time and money on going on everything, because that doesn't work. You have to be targeted, and you can do that here in China because it's such a huge market. Yes. One thing that we have seen in, at least when I'm like browsing around in the Chinese social media platforms, is that 2019 they're talking way more about social shopping.
Yes.
Where Xiaohongshu is probably the leading platform in that case. Okay.
Depending. Xiaohongshu or Red is definitely a very important social commerce platform. But when it's definitely more profitable. But when we talk about volumes, Pinduoduo is really big, VIP Shop is really big.
Okay.
But I personally do not believe in these platforms going forward, because, for example, Pinduoduo is like bulk buying, and it is dying. People that are a bit older, like 40 or 50 or 60 years old, go there to buy napkins basically, and toilet paper, and things for the house in bulk with a 50% discount, 90% discount at times. So this platform was extremely big for a long time. Right now it's slowing down a little bit. But yes, Xiaohongshu is popular.
But I've also started to see on Taobao that they're doing more like live streaming, they're doing more video content where they show the product. Do you think that social shopping is something that will be bigger and bigger?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
There's no escape. Basically, for those people in business and for those people outside of business, I know how confusing China can be, but what you need to understand is that the realities of life of people here in China are completely different, and for them social media is not a place where you go to look at kitty cat pictures and to stalk your friends. It's really not. It is the place that enables you to do things online and offline, and essentially it's already integrated. So we're not talking about building an omni-channel or new retail experience. It's already built in the way it's set up. So social commerce for them is just an extension of normal everyday life. So if we were in China and we were on Chinese platforms and people were watching us, let's say live streaming on Weibo, and they really liked his suit, yeah, they would long click on this suit and purchase it right away.
Yeah.
And we would make tons of money by putting some things here, and there will be a little window below saying, oh guys, if you want whatever thing is here, like sometimes they put a bottle of wine, sometimes they put I do not know what, you can buy it, right? And people can also tip us. They say, oh guys, you're talking about some cool things, let me send you a couple of tips. So this is social commerce already integrated in their life, and the further we go, the more universal it will be, the easier it would be, the more platforms will sort of kind of merge and start working together. Because right now in China there are two ecosystems. There is Alibaba sort of coalition, and there is a Tencent coalition, and essentially many social media players are picking side, apart from a phenomenal platform run by ByteDance, one of the world's most valued unicorn, which is called Toutiao, right? So Duoyin, for instance, is also part of ByteDance ecosystem, and this is the only kind of social media player coalition that is absolutely outside of this Titans battle. And ByteDance, guys, for those of you sort of not really interested in China but interested in China, if ByteDance ever goes public, you want to buy those stocks.
Okay.
And the reason is because they run all of their algorithms, all of their social media matching algorithms on AI. They've got a news platform, they've got a social platform, they've got messaging platforms, they've got tons and tons of things, and they run it on AI, and they're collecting all this data, and they're matching and they're using it, which is unprecedented and unmatched anywhere in the world. So ByteDance, and I don't work for them, and they don't pay me for this, for this promotion.
Okay, that was good to add.
Just in case, otherwise it was such a dramatic pause.
It was a good pitch. It was a good pitch. However, I want to talk very quickly about a lot of my audience like reach out to me and want to start companies, or they want to start to sell in China. What's the platform that you think like the entrance point of any product, like simple products? What's the entrance point for the most people?
Well, before you go into China and you want to sell something in China, decide whether you are prepared for this, because it is a very expensive market. And essentially, it's not how you should do it, it's whether you should do it. That's the first question. A lot of people feel that, oh my god, I found this product and I really want to sell it in China, and then they begin this journey just to realize that whatever budget they have is not going to last them very, very long. So whether you need to go to China, whether you have the resources, the right partners, the right setup, is the primary questions. And once you've made the decision that yes, China is my primary market for the coming few years, then you go into how. I would say, depending on your product category, you can try several things. For example, right now Xiaohongshu Red just opened the cross-border channel, where as a non-China registered enterprise you can open your own shop and you can actually sell on Xiaohongshu, like with cooperation with them, not just by yourself. And this is a great opportunity. At the same time, there are a couple of companies that can help you test the market. For example, there's a company based out of Shenzhen, I believe it's called First Shorts, and again, I don't work for them, and it's not a plug, but there are many other companies like this, where you can bring your product if it's rather cheap, below $50 US, and if they accept it, if they feel that this product has potential, they're going to help you sell in China through their network of hundreds of small bloggers. And then you give them a huge discount, so retail price is 100, you give them the product for 20, and this 80, they basically do marketing, they do distribution, but you start selling into China. You can do that for a couple of months or years or whatever, and then you can, once you have the volume, realize that, okay, now I'm ready for more.
That is very good advice, and what I also wanted to stress even more is that, first of all, you say China is expensive, and it is. Guys, if you are coming here, double, triple, quadruple your budget before coming here, because it takes long time to set up companies, etc. here. It costs a lot to do all the social media marketing, everything here. So do that, and that not just comes from rookies. Both of us have started companies here. You're way more professional, but both of us have had this journey. So yeah, have a big budget for entering China. The second thing I also wanted to say is that think about China as the most brutal market in the world, because China produce everything. You can get your product the 10th of the price here.
Yeah.
So why should a company, or why should people buy your product or service compared to the rest of them that are the 10th of the price?
Yeah.
So that's two things that you have to think about. So that was that. Let's move on. 2019, everybody is talking about Generation Z. Generation Z, people say that, okay, they're gonna basically buy up the world. They are the ones with capital, they are the ones with purchasing power. How should you approach Generation Z? I know it's a very broad question, but how should you approach them?
Right. In China, I think, let's look at it in the generational kind of format. So there was a generation that is right now around 60, 70 years old, and this generation, they worked really hard for their money. Like they've seen hunger in their lifetime, and they worked really hard when the whole opening was happening. They were the ones driving the change. Then generation just below them, basically their kids, they saw how their parents worked really hard, and they know that, okay, the money that the parents passed on to them are so super valuable. So that second kind of generation also worked somewhat okay and made somewhat money and have somewhat kind of kick-ass mindset. And then there is a generation just below them, which is Generation Z, as you call it. And these guys never saw their parents or grandparents go through hard times, like personally. They know historically, but it's just very far away from them. And many of them have much better living conditions, and they have the money and they have expectations. And you know, even in Shanghai, why people are jumping jobs, you know, especially younger people, why they're jumping jobs? Because they believe they are entitled, and they believe that if somebody is not giving me, you know, bonuses, I can always do better. So their mindset is, I can always do better. Prosperity is the default, and the money that I earn, I can spend on experiences, on cool and fun stuff. So in terms of Generation Z buying the world, I believe that it's not that simple, not that easy. Yes, these guys care about themselves. For example, we all know that male cosmetic market is huge in China.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about cosmetic like, you know, skincare. I'm talking about cosmetics as of eyelash extensions. I'm talking about lipstick for men, and they are not necessarily gay or drag queens. These are men that just want to look a certain way or to have a baby face, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, it's very different compared to their parents and grandparents. There is a single economy, really big single economy, where they say, you know what, I don't want at this stage to have a girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't want to have children by the time I'm 22. I don't want to do things like because I want to enjoy my life. And we see that they, right now, for example, are thriving when we talk about content to more down-to-earth content. So for the long time, globally, not only in China, people wanted perfect content where you have professional camera and the light is on you and you have this perfect makeup and you show them in this perfect video how to do something. And right now what they want is raw content. It's called down to earth. So basically you wake up in the morning and as is, something shines at you and they find it real. They find it, wow, that's unusual. Wow, thank you for being so honest. Thank you for putting your real life in front of me. So there are a lot of changes in, of course, economy, in their aspirations, and of course in the things that attract them in their psychology. So I do not know whether it answers your question. How are they? How to target them?
Yeah, but I think you described them in a very good way, because they think totally different from us. I mean, we're both one generation above them, and we have been grown up also in kind of wealthy, like we have never seen hunger, we've never seen that, but we've still seen that like our parents grew up in maybe a little bit tougher times. So the new generation is completely different, and that's why you have to think in a more like funny, more different modern way, where you basically think about it like in a hotel room like this. Like people grow up in this type of situations. What do they want? What do they need? Why would keep them, or what would make them go and click the buy button compared to the generation before them? So I think this interview has been super duper good, and I think you guys have been you have got so much information out of Ashley. You don't even believe it. Watch this video many times and you will learn a lot about marketing and social media platforms here in China. But let's know in the end, if we're gonna build a, let's say a 5-step tutorial of how they should start with marketing in China, what would you do?
5-step tutorial.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see whether there are 5 steps.
Or 3 or 10, whatever you want.
Okay, perfect. So step number 1, you do not start marketing into China or selling to China without a research and strategy, because you're going to waste your money, so do that. Number 2, select 3 platforms and test them for 3 months. Do not go into 60 platforms. If your budget is very, very small, choose 2 platforms and test it for 3 months. Only the platforms that work, invest money into them. Number 3, you need to generate original content. So basically either hire yourself a journalist trained in China or a linguist trained in China and then teach them how to be a good marketer, or hire an agency. Right? So either get yourself an in-house capability or hire an agency, because your global content is not going to work. It needs to be local. It needs to be following the hot topics in China for this particular subgroup. Number 4, use bloggers and use advertising budget. If you have 0 advertising budget and 0 budget for bloggers, whatever you do, even if your content is absolutely amazing and has viral potential, there's just no way to break through this noise. So you will need to have that money ready. And number 5, constantly learn. Chinese consumers are the world's most sophisticated consumers. Learn from them. They are not just content consumers, they're content co-creators. So make sure you're utilizing their power of feedback and communication to track where all this is going, what are they interested in, and you constantly adjust, apply, and grow together.
That's perfect. Follow those steps. Before we end this video, where can people find you? Where should they follow you? Which social medias are you on?
Yes, hi guys. You can definitely find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Ashley Galina Dudarenok, and you can also follow me on YouTube if you are really into entrepreneurship and marketing in China. It's Ashley Talks. You can also find me on YouTube. I'm on Instagram at ashley.lina, L-I-N-A, and Facebook as well, but I'm not really active there. It's also Ashley Talks China.
Perfect. So I'll link everything below, guys, so you can follow her there. If you find this interesting, follow her. You will get so much free information right out off of her.
I'm not paying him for promotion.
No, not at all, not at all. It's just like, I learned a lot from you from LinkedIn. That's why I want to bring that value to my viewers as well. Thank you super duper much for your time. We appreciate it. And guys, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.